Do you find it hard to stand out in a crowded market? Are you asking, how can I engage more with my followers and create a community around my brand? Today's topic, social networking, 5 strategies to attract your divine client. Welcome to the Influencers Journey Show. My name is Taria Hodge, and the big question we set out to answer each week is, how does the average entrepreneur like us start with limited time, zero marketing budget, or little to no online presence, get the authentic message into the marketplace and become a person of influence? And also, what skills must you learn? And most importantly, who are you required to become to magnetically attract your divine client and build a loyal following? Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Influencers Journey Show. I am super excited to sit down and have today's conversation. One of the things that I noticed for the past couple of episodes, I've actually been unpacking the social success cycle. So, for those of you who don't know what the social success cycle is, it's actually a pathway for you to be successful and more engaging on social media. So, over the last couple of episodes, I've had the opportunity to unpack social listening. Last week, we did our episode on social influence, and today we're going to talk about the third step, which is social networking. So I want to start off by sharing my experience on really understanding the concept of social networking. So I remember when live videos were just starting to be a thing on social media. So as you probably know, if you've been in the social media space, things always change. This is one of the areas in marketing that I think, changes often. It changes so much. And one of the things that as entrepreneurs, we have the lucky opportunity to stay on top of all of the trends and all of the things that are happening. And as we know, some trends, come into play and they're here to stay, and other trends disappear, very quickly. So one of the things, like I said, when I was first introduced and started to learn more about the power of doing live video, first of all, I was a little reluctant, with all the stuff that comes along with doing live videos. But what I noticed, it was a new way to not only produce content, but it gave me an opportunity to engage with my audience in a way that I was not engaging with them before. And so before we jump into today's topic, I want to give a definition of social networking. And so, if you've never heard of this term before, social networking is about building online relationships. So, it's the ability to intentionally seek out partnerships and collaborations that will help expand your audience. And so, I am pretty excited to have the opportunity to unpack this topic and this conversation, because like I said, it was one of the things as I started to take a look at doing live videos and going lives on various different platforms. It gave me the opportunity to see social media in a different light, and it was one of the things that I actually embraced and came to love, not the act of just doing the videos, but the opportunity to learn more about my audience, to connect in a different way that I wasn't connecting with them before. So I hope that you guys will, receive a ton of value from our conversation today. And so if you are out there, do me a favor, go ahead and drop a comment into the comment section and let me know, Taria, I am here, I am with you, I could see you, I could hear you. And then also let me know where you are watching from. So I want to know the city, I want to know the state. If you are outside of the US, let me know what country you're tuning in from. Then I also want to know, take a minute to drop in the comment section, who do you serve in your business? So let me know who are your divine clients? Go ahead, put that in the chat section, and then take a minute to let us know how you serve in your business. Now, every time we get on here and we do our Influencers Journey Show, this is one of the things that I ask for everyone who's tuning in onto the broadcast, whether you're catching us live or you're catching us on the replay, is just take a minute to share who you serve and how you serve in your business. The reason why we ask you to do that is because, first of all, we won't know unless you tell us. And then two, we want to know because networking happens here in our time together. And then it also happens during the week when we're not on the show. So I see that, hey, Suvik is out there this morning. Great morning, Suvik. Oh my gosh, it's been a long, long, long time. Thank you so much for tuning in all the way from India. How are you? How's the family? The beautiful baby? Oh my gosh, go ahead, drop all of that stuff in the comment section and let me know how you are doing. Oh my gosh. Wow. You just lighten up my day, Suvik. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. So yeah, so once again, and Suvik, take a minute to just put inside of the comment what you do. Okay, so let us all know what you do in your business. I'm pretty sure that we have some super achievers who would love to learn more, about what you do. And as for me, hon, I am doing well. I am doing absolutely fine. So thank you so much for tuning in and catching. And I will catch up with you after the show today. All right. And so, like I said, one of the things that happens is networking. So we all have the opportunity to learn more about each other's businesses and how we could serve each other. And like I used the word before, collaborate. So make sure you take a moment to do that. Okay. And so for those of you who are just joining us, welcome to the Influencers Journey Show. Once again, today's topic is social networking, 5 strategies to attract your divine client. And so one of the things that I wanted to start off our conversation about this morning is why understanding your target audience is key. And so one of the things where, like I said, we're unpacking social networking. And I love the idea and the fact that social networking gives you the opportunity to do this one thing and do it really well, and which is understand your target audience. So I know for most of us who have ever, if you're an entrepreneur, then you're a marketer. That's it, right? So, 80% of your time is spent marketing your business. And so if you've ever taken a course in marketing, one of the things that, people say all the time is that you need to know your demographics of your audience and you need to know the psychographics. Okay. So your demographics, of course, you definitely need to know your demographics. You need to know whether your products or your services, your programs, whatever it is that you're doing out there, whether you serve a male audience, you serve females, you need to know what age range is your products and services good for. Okay. If you have location specific products and services, do you know where your ideal clients, your target audience, where they are located? So all of these things are data that we collect, as we do our marketing. Then we'll take it one step further, and then we get in to the psychographics of our, ideal clients. Okay. And when we talk about the psychographics of our ideal client, we talk about, things like their pain points. So, do we all know what our clients are struggling with? I like to term it that 2 a.m. problem, that thing that either keeps them up at night and they can't go to bed, or the thing that wakes them up in the middle of the night and disturb their sleep. So, in doing your market research, do you know what thing that is for your clients? Because once again, if you're able to understand what their pain points and what their challenges are, then of course you're able to create products and services that will solve that problem for your clients. But one of the things that I want to take it a little bit deeper, and go into moving from identifying what I term as your ideal clients and getting into your divine clients. And so there's a definition for your divine clients. And when I talk about divine clients, when Suzanne talks about divine clients, we mean those people that, we are connected with, on a heart to heart, soul to soul level. And I know some of you might be asking, what do you mean? How do you get a chance to connect with someone that you possibly, don't even know, you've never met? How do you connect with them on a heart to heart, soul to soul level? I like to call these people the people who we are divinely called to serve. And so when we take a look at social networking gives us the opportunity to have these conversations. And I like to call them connecting conversations, where we're able to share more of ourselves. We're able to share, our stories. And with those stories, we're able to connect with the heart and soul of our clients. And that's the magnetic piece that gets people to raise their hand and say, wow, this is the person for me, because I can see myself in their journey. They have been where I am, and they have come through on the other side, and now they have the ability to take me to where I want to go, or to guide me to where I want to go. And so one of the things, as I really started to unpack this conversation about social networking, it brought me to a concept that I now call relationship marketing. Okay. And so, relationship marketing, when you take a look at it, this is actually your key and your biggest access to serving online. So, can you get down and touch, the heart and soul, of your people, your tribe members, and get those people who you are divinely called to serve raise their hand and say, you are the person for me. And so I know, and just let me know if you have, as we're going through our time together, if you have any questions about it, if anything that you want to share, just go ahead and make sure that you are utilizing the comment section, and I'll be able to answer your questions, on the comments. Okay. And so when it comes to social networking, this is actually a process that, as like I said, as entrepreneurs and marketers, that we need to build into our social media marketing. And so there's, a couple of keys, a couple of steps, things that you have to do in order to make this piece successful. And I'm going to tell you, long gone are the days of us just getting out there and just putting content out into the marketplace and figuring that, oh, okay, I did my job, I made a post, or I did the video, and that's it. So one of the things that I had to come to terms with being in this space is, oh my gosh, marketing is not about just putting content out there. We have to go back and we have to engage with our content. And once we are engaging with our content, we're engaging with the people who are responding and interacting to our content, then we create the opportunity to build better relationships online. Okay. So on my journey, some of the things that I had to learn how to do was to first be able to set clear goals for my social networking activities. Okay. And so when it comes to your social media, do you have, a strategy in place that would allow you, to effectively implement social networking? And if the answer is no, stick around with me until a little later in the show. I'm going to share with you some steps on how you could effectively do that. Okay. And so I had to, first of all, be able to build that into my strategy, and then identify ways that I'm going to measure, if I'm successful at social networking. So, what are my key metrics that I am looking for and that I desire around social networking? Okay. Also, in taking a look and implementing this process, like I said before, it gave me such a unique opportunity to really get to know and collect data, do some research on, my target audience. So one of the things, as you we're out there and we're in the social media space, I talk about social listening. Like, that's the first step in the social success cycle, social listening. And so as I'm out there and I am giving, my my audience, my tribe members, the opportunity to learn more about what it is I do, I'm also learning more about them as well. And this is the secret sauce of being able to truly create, great products and services in the marketplace. So do what is it that your audience wants from you? And I say all the time, if we listen, if we create the opportunity, to put stuff out there and listen, and then we go back and we engage with it and then seek to reach out and build those relationships, this will give us a better idea of the things that we need to produce in the marketplace, whether it's your content or whether it's your programs and services, right? So this is a great opportunity for you to do research. And so if you're out there thinking that, all I have to do on social media is just show up and hit the like button and keep scrolling, and that takes care of my social media activities for the day, then I have to tell you, you're sadly mistaken. It's all about going in once again and showing up as a resource, showing up to serve, in those spaces and places that you are, and then giving yourself the opportunity to learn more about people, learn more about your audience, learn more about people in your network. Okay. And so the other thing is being able to monitor and analyze. So how are you tracking your process, through all of this? So like I mentioned before, do you have key metrics that you are looking for? Okay. And so one of the things, as I take a look at social networking and building relationships and collaborations, one of my key metrics that, I had set for myself or have set for myself is how many appointments am I going to set, from my social media efforts? Okay. So how many conversations am I going to get into on a weekly basis because of my interactions, online? And that's a metric. And so I'm able to measure that process. I can measure, what activities I did, what type of activities I did, how many calls were am I able to schedule, and then how many calls did I fulfill, and then what were the results of those calls. Okay. And so that's a metric that you can measure. And so for you, start to think about what are the things that are important for you in your business and the things that you need to track, and then be intentional around those things. Okay. And so the next thing that, I started to explore and I started to look at as I started to look at social networking and how we can use social networking as a strategy and a tool to attract more of our divine clients. It's the thing that I think most entrepreneurs miss when it comes to social media. Okay. And so one of the biggest mistakes that I think entrepreneurs miss when it comes to social media is treating social media as just another channel for broadcasting your message and your promotions. And so, I say it all the time. Social media is, not just a place for you to show up and hawk your wares. So a lot of times I get into conversation with colleagues and even some clients who only want to show up on social media when they have, something going on in their business. So maybe it's a launch, maybe it's a product or service that they have, and then they go, oh, I remember social media, there's people on there, let me get on. And I have to say, social media doesn't really quite, work that way. It's not a one-way street. Okay. So this is a place for you to not just share your products and your promotions, but it's also a place, like I said, for you to get out there and you can network. Okay. You could, start to attract more of your divine clients, have connecting conversations, engage, and then once again, take people on that beautiful pathway of your buyer's journey. So that's one of the biggest things, being able to, not look at social media as a place for you to just push your message out, but how are you using it as a tool to build relationships? And like I said, how are you using it to serve? So do you have a strategy to show up and serve, through your social media? Then the other mistake that I see a lot of is missing the opportunity, to build community on social media. And so if you ask me, every entrepreneur, especially if you are a coach out there and you have some type of program or service that you offer, you should be building a community around your products and services. So, how many of you out there have an online community? So, if you have an online community, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on LinkedIn, or some other social media platform, go ahead, drop a comment and let me know I have a community. Now, why is it that I'm talking about having a community? One of the greatest opportunities I find with online communities, this is a way that you are able to engage in conversations in a deeper level with your tribe members. Okay. And you get the opportunity to learn more about your audience. Just as they're learning and connecting with you, you are learning and you're connecting with you. Well, I mean, with them. And so you're able to now provide, a deeper level of serving. And so that's the opportunities that communities can afford to you. So we have our Storytelling for Super Achievers Network. And so we know the people who are in our community, those are the people who have seen our content, maybe on other places of Facebook. Maybe you've caught us on our business pages. Maybe you've seen our information or our content, on another social platform. And you've decided that, what, I really want to connect. I really want to learn more about who Taria and Suzanne, is. And so, what? They've joined our community. And in the community, they have the unique opportunity to share their insights. They have the opportunity to ask their questions. And for us, it's an opportunity for us to learn more about them. So, and being able to leverage, all of that to create greater conversations, like we're doing here on the show, and then also as a way to enhance our products and services. So I just shared with you like one of the biggest opportunities that you have in front of you. If you don't have an online community, it's time for you to start to think about adding an online community to go along with your products and your services, or even your program. Everyone should have an online community. That's how I feel about it. Okay. And so, one of the other challenges that I see all the time is the struggle to create the type of content that your audience wants. I can't tell you how many times a week that I get this question. Okay, I get this question all the time. How do I know what type of content, my audience wants? What do I create to put out there? And I've heard so many times people tell me, well, I don't know what the pain points of my divine clients. I don't know what those things are. And one of the things that I say all the time, first, start the conversation. And then as you start the conversation and you are actively networking and you're actively engaging with your audience, whether, it's on different parts of social media, maybe you're in your community, maybe you are in, another community, people will always tell you what it is that they want. People would always share with you what it is that they desire. Okay. So our responsibility and our job is to listen. And that's where the social listening comes in. And so we had a perfect example, of this recently. So I think I was doing the show by myself, and we had one of our super achievers, get on here and just started to ask some amazing questions. And so you guys, you feed us when we're on the show. So all of the questions that you ask, all of the wonderful insights that you give us in your comments that you share, we actually go back and take a look at the comments. We take a look at those questions, and then we start to say, wow, people really want to know more about this. So what can we create that will be able to serve? And so from that conversation, another beautiful conversation was able to be developed. And Susan and I, we were on the show last week, tree three, my island accent is jumping out, three strategies to identify your divine client. Okay. And then, which led to the topic of this show, social networking. Okay. So once again, is being able to collect the data, collect the insights. Okay. And I know that there's, tools that, you should be using online to help you take a look at the data, take a look at the insights. But there's some data that those tools can't measure, which is the actual conversations, the actual opportunity to build relationships. They can't see all of that stuff. So it's our responsibility to also track that type of data as well. Okay. All right. And so the third thing that I wanted to, just take a minute to spend some time to explore when it comes to the topic of using to social networking to social networking to attract your divine clients. I want to be able to talk about why the power, of authenticity and vulnerability is key. So this was one of the biggest challenges for me when I realized that I needed to make a shift in the way that I was doing my social media. So you see, I was that person who showed up on social media, to just give the information. So yes, I have a tool, I have a tip, I have a strategy. These things I'm willing to show up and serve my audience by sharing. But one of the things that I didn't realize was missing from my marketing was me. And so once I started to understand the power, of using stories to engage with my audience more, things started to shift in my business. And I started to attract more of my right fit clients, which I now call our divine clients. So if you're still out there, still a little shy, you're still wondering, oh my gosh, what should I share on social media? Or if you're feeling a little vulnerable when it comes to sharing, deeper content, okay, then you actually want to, take a look at this area and start to explore the opportunity of using more stories in your content. And I'm going to say this, I had the opportunity yesterday, just yesterday, this happened, to visit a store. I'm just gonna call it that. I'm not gonna reveal the name of the company. And actually, let me back up. Yesterday was not the first time that I visited the store. Yesterday was the second time I went back to the store. But I remember the first time I visited the store. The story that the owner of the store shared with me, which was actually the why he had the store, why the store came in to being in existence, his huge why for doing this was he shared that story. And one of the things that I remember saying, like, oh my gosh, that is such a huge, great, awesome, wonderful story. And I felt a connection, you know, to the story. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be back. And that was a thing that made me return to that store. Now, check this out. Is that store the only store on the island that sells what they're selling? The answer to the question is no. But because I had the opportunity to get into a conversation with the owner of the store, and he was able to share, you know, his experiences, he was able to be vulnerable in just like a 5 minutes conversation. I felt a connection, and I knew that this is a store that I chose, you know, I'm choosing to support me in my needs. Okay. And I'm telling everybody about it. I was literally so excited and I went back. So think about it, being able, you know, to share those stories, you know, give people the opportunity to get the glimpse, you know, into the, you know, why is it that you do what it is you do? That's your secret sauce. You know, that's your connecting factor. So if, once again, if you're out there and you're still saying, well, I only want to show up on social media, you know, just to promote, or I only want to stick to the content because that used to be my thing. I only want to stick to the content. I don't want to share anything about me. I'm here to encourage you, you know, to take a look at that in a different light. Okay. And so I'm going to take a break here. I'm just going to do a quick pause and see who all is out there with me this morning. And so, you know, I got to put on my readers, guys. And so, Suvik is out there saying, well, Kushik, well, who I know as Suvik, is out there saying, I am a brand creator. I help businesses to stand out in a crowd by graphic design. Wow, wow, wow. Suvik, thank you so much for, you know, dropping your Skype handle on there. And like I said, I will definitely be reaching out to you a little later today. And I see a Facebook user out there that's saying good morning. Unfortunately, I can't see your name. So take a minute to go ahead and let me know who you are so I could address you properly. Okay. And so, yes, if you have, oh, and the Facebook user says, good morning on the road, but all ears. Oh, yes. So if that's you and you're out there and you're driving, okay, after you're done, you can come back and let me know who you are. Definitely don't want you to be texting and driving. Okay. All right. And so what I'm going to do is take a minute to share with you some of the ways that you could actually, you know, implement social networking as a tool. So if you're wondering, Taria, you know, maybe you've heard of social networking, maybe you've never heard of social networking. What you've shared before is great, but you're wondering, like, okay, now what do I do? I'm going to share with you some of the things that you should be taking a look at when it comes to utilizing social networking as a tool. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to get clear on who your target audience is. So, who do you serve in your business? Okay, who are you reaching? And then take a step to go further and identify who your divine client is. And I see, and it's Geneva. Great morning, Geneva. Thank you so much for letting me know who you are. Hope you're not driving and texting, hon. Okay, but define your target audience. And like I said, I started before by talking about the demographics and the psychographics. So knowing your demographics about whether you're serving male, female, the age range, you know, the location, you know, if you know income is a factor for you, you know, all of that stuff. right? We all need to know that about our divine clients or our target audience. And then we go a little bit deeper and we dig into the psychographics, and the psychographics lets you know, not only the pain points, the things that they are challenged with, the problem that they have, like I like to call it the 2 a.m. problem, but we're also understanding and we know the desired transformation that they would like to have. So do you know where they want to, end up? What's the end goal, for them? You need to know those things. And then when we talk about our divine clients, okay, or emotional branding, that's being able to share, those connecting stories. I no longer call it content, I call it connecting stories. Being able to share those connecting stories that would allow you, to engage with your audience on a deeper level. I call it that heart to heart, it's that soul to soul connection. And so once you have all of these things in place, then you're able to create, products, services, content that would speak directly to their needs. So that's the first step in how to utilize social networking as a tool. The second thing that you want to take a look at is being able to choose the right platforms. So I'm going to say this. I am not a big proponent of saying that, you need to be on every social media network or every social media platform. That's just the world, according to Turia. I know that there are other people out there, there's other marketers out there that would tell you different and say, absolutely, you need to be everywhere. And I'm saying, no, you need to be strategic about it. And so, one of the things that I say all the time in choosing your networks, two things you need to take a look at. The first thing you should take a look at is my divine client, are they on that network? Okay. So, do you know what platforms, what social platforms your people are hanging out on? And then also, where on those platforms are they hanging out on? And then once you know that, then you could position yourself in those spaces and those places. And then the second thing you want to take a look at, do you have the ability to be able to show up consistently on that platform? Meaning, do you have what it takes, or do you have in your arsenal what it takes to produce the content on that platform? And so if you are positioning on YouTube, one of the things, if you're on YouTube, then guess what? You got to produce videos, right? And so, are you also taking a look at what it takes to create a consistent presence on the platform as well? Okay. And then the third thing actually we want to talk about is engaging with your audience. So once again, this is huge, 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 huge. And when we talk about engaging with our audience, it doesn't mean that you have to spend all day every day on social media. Set a schedule for yourself, right? And whether you're blocking off, whether it's 30 minutes, a day, 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, to go in and engage. And when I say engage, I mean go ahead, not just hitting the like button, okay, but actually taking a minute, to show up as a research, taking a minute to serve. Okay, what are your insights? What are your contribution to different conversations that are happening online? Okay, because one of the things that I want you to remember is that social media is all about building relationships. So the more that we give ourselves the opportunity to engage, which is ask questions, comments, invite people to have a deeper conversation with you, maybe take that conversation offline, the better it is, for you to create and build those relationships. Okay. And then the fourth thing that you want to take a look at is, how to measure your results. So are you actively tracking your results? Okay. So do you first of all know what metrics you want to measure? Okay, so are you measuring your engagement? Are you measuring your reach? Or are there other things that are important to you in your business? And then how are you using the data that you're collecting to refine your strategy and to improve your results? So that's the fourth thing. Okay. And then the fifth thing and the last thing in how to use social networking, 5 strategies to attract your divine client, is you also want to be able to stay up to date with social media. So, like I said in the beginning of the broadcast, this is an environment that moves very quickly. Things change very quickly. Okay. So, are you actually carving out the time, to take a look at trends, to take a look at opportunities? Are you knowing what's changing? Do you still have, best practices when it comes to social media? And I know that's another thing, is to be able to stay up on top of best practicing. Facebook will slap you on your hand all the time. Okay. And so one of the things that you could do if you're struggling, in this area and staying up to date with best practices, make sure that you have identified who the influencers are in your space. And and this is a secret sauce that I've learned, for myself, being able to identify who my influencers are, the top leaders in the space. And no, I'm not going in and copying or taking their content, but I'm taking a look, at the strategies that they're implementing in their business. Okay. And by studying them and learning from them, then I'm also able to better serve, our audience, my clients as well. Okay. So those are like the 5 steps on how to implement social networking to attract your divine clients. And so if you are out there and you have any additional questions, comments, make sure that you drop them into the comment section. Either you could do that now, or if you're catching this on the replay, I would definitely love to hear more from you on how this conversation has blessed you. Okay. And I don't see any comments or anything coming in. I see that Jaliva is saying, Taria, this is Jaliva, and great gems. Thank you so much, Jaliva. I am so glad that you are receiving value from today's from today's show. Okay. So with that being said, I am going to leave you with the thought. Oh, still on the road. So it's not Geneva. I have Geneva and Stephanie King Madeley. Okay. My ladies are out there. I don't know why Facebook isn't displaying your names this morning, but I got it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to leave and close out with the thought of the week for this week. And the thought of the week is, we don't have a choice on whether we do social media. The question is, how well do we do social media, by Eric Qualman. And I love this quote because it reminds me so much of my journey in this space. And I remember as I started out as a social media marketer many years ago, I had, the wonderful opportunity, to talk about social media. And I found myself trying to convince a lot of people why, a lot of entrepreneurs, why they should be on social media. Fast forward to today, it's not about, why you need to be on social media. I think that's understood. The question becomes, is when we're on social media, what are the things that we do on social media that makes it effective for us? Okay. And I see that there's a question. Do you solve problems in the chat? So when you say solve problems in the chat, I'm going to take it to mean that if you are in conversation, whether it's a video or you're in a community, whether it's your community or somebody else's community, and someone has asked you a question, right? Or they pose a problem. Do you go ahead and you answer that, in the chat, or do you take the conversation offline? And that's such a beautiful question, okay? Because it it depends. So some things you could say, you know what, I could provide value by answering, this question, this quick question, and you might go ahead and answer the question, solve the problem, put it in the chat. There's different ways that you could do that. Maybe you have created a resource. Okay. And so someone shows up, they have an issue, they have a problem, they have a question, they're asking about something. You always want to show up as a resource. Hey, I see that you've asked this question, da 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 da. Here's what I have to offer as insight, to what it is you're asking or what it is that you're sharing. And then, you know what? I also have a resource that I could share with you, happy to share with you, that would be able, to take you further, give you more information on what it is that you're seeking. That's one way to do it. Okay. The other way to do it is that depending on the in-depthness of the question, or the problem or the challenge that the person is having, it might require an offline conversation. So you can't be afraid to connect with people offline. Invite them to have a conversation with you. Okay. And I know for some people, this brings up like a lot of issues, like, oh, how do I know who to trust online, and I don't know who people are, da 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 da. Easy. If you have any questions, go check out their profile. Go see what they're doing online. That's data right there. Okay. And then you could go ahead and, like I said, offer, to have a conversation with that person. And what that will do is give you the opportunity to learn more about them. Because, first of all, that's the first thing, right? Is building relationships. And I'm going to tell you, I know how I feel when I have questions and I put things out there and someone reaches out to me and answers my question. They serve in a non-pushy way. So they don't just show up right off the bat with their products and services and say, hey, buy this, right? They seek, to understand and share. And then they say, you know what? Let's have a conversation offline. I always appreciate, people, who provide that space for me. And I try to provide that space as much as I can for our tribe members as well. Okay. And do your stories have to be personal? So that's also another great question. I don't know if it's Stephanie or if it's Jaliva that's sharing. So I'm going to assume that it's Stephanie. You can let me know if I'm wrong. So one of the things that I take a look at when it comes to sharing stories is experiences. So it's always best if you have a personal experience that you can share that will give depth or will create context around what it is you're talking about. Now, when we look at the word personal, I want to say this. In this space, you don't have to share anything that you don't want to share. So I know people ask that all the time, right? How much of myself do I have to share? How much of me do I have to give? If you are not comfortable, sharing something, don't share it. Like, that's my rule. But if you're comfortable and that story or that experience that you have, or you've experienced can benefit somebody else, then by all means, go ahead and share it. Okay. And if you don't have, a personal, like a me experience around that topic, maybe you've had another client, maybe you've known somebody else, right, that have had a similar experience, and you could share that experience as well. Okay. So that's my answer, to the question. The stories have to be personal. So it's up to you to know what stories you're going to share, which stories you're going to share, and then how much of your stories you're going to share. So if you're uncomfortable, sharing something, and you're not ready to release that part, of you yet, don't share it. Share what you are comfortable with sharing. Okay. And then the question is, how do you manage to get a grip with someone experienced and some new? How do you manage is it a grip with someone experienced and some new? I'm not sure if I understand that question. If that's you, Stephanie, can you explain a little bit more for me, my dear? I'll just hang out here for a few. Okay. Ah, how do you manage a group? Oh, see, I'm glad I asked that qualifying question. How do you manage a group with some experience and some new? Okay, so that's also another great question, Stephanie. And it's up to you, first of all, to decide on the focus of your group. So when you create your group, okay, you know what your group or your description, what value, that's the word I'm looking for, what value you're providing in your group, and that will let people know who are entering your group that that group is specific to them. Okay, and so sometimes if you need to take a look and say, hey, I need to have two separate groups because these people are at another level and these people are another level, and I don't want to have a conflicting conversation, or confusing conversation, then you could separate it out into groups. And I know that that's one of the things that we do. So when we take a look at our groups, we have two groups that we have on Facebook. So we have our storytelling for super achievers group, which is our main group. And this is for the super achievers who want to know how to use stories, and use their stories to help them get seen, hired, and paid what they're worth. Okay. And then we also have our group, the Influencers Network. And so these are for people who are on a deeper level of the journey. So we have groups that will separate the conversation because some people are at one level and then the other people are, like you said, a little bit more experienced and they need a little bit more detailed help. So as to not have conflicting conversations, we have two groups. But this is a thing also, Stephanie, if it's you out there and you're thinking about creating a group, if you don't have a group yet, first thing, make sure you sit and you think about the purpose of your group. Why do you want to have a group? Right? And I said everyone should have a group, must have a group. So think about what it is, the purpose of your group, clearly define that, and then start to think about the value that you want to provide inside of your group. And then from there, you will be able to put that out into the marketplace. And for the people who says, yes, that's me, I want to be on this journey, I want to learn more, then they're able to, select into your group. So great question. Love it. All right. And so I am going to wrap us up for today because we have our freestyle training. And so I am getting off to jump right onto our freestyle training. Super excited. But I want to thank each of you, our super achievers, for taking the time and tuning in this week for our conversation. And like I said, if you joined in the middle at the end of the broadcast, take a minute during the week, to go back, listen to the replay. And as you listen to the replay, if anything is coming up for you, whether it's questions, comments, we would love to hear from you. So don't forget to put that information into our chat area. And so with that being said, know that you are brilliant, know that you are special, and the world is waiting for your unique gift. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.